Greetings and welcome once again to TFT Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with Banshee and Oberon. And this is me, Oberon, with Goth Tarot. It's my weekly look into the shadow issues of our lives, how we can deal with them, how we can integrate them into our greater personality, the things that make us seem dysfunctional to ourselves as well as others, perhaps. So last week with Banshee, we began the work of the Prophetic Past. And in a moment, I will continue with that. We're set to go, and we're going to start with an oracle from the Hecatean Path. Sorry about that. And our card is Melano, the Dark-Minded. I'm going to put them here. Number 4. Melano, dark-minded, dichotomy. Born of the underworld and the heavens, Hecate Melano's contradictory nature reflects the struggle inside many of us. The task of keeping things balanced within can lead to a schism. In this guise, Hecate knows your highest truths and your most hidden fears. Let her torches guide you through both sides of yourself. In the shadows and in the light, Hecate awaits those who seek the mysteries and is the guide and initiatrix of all who approach her with a pure heart. So I shall put you there. And I think that's a good way to begin, because any work with the shadow work does expect us to kind of explore both or other sides of our being. So it just kind of goes without saying. Now, last week we began our work with the Prophetic Past. I guide myself in the here and now. I don't believe in the present moment or in the future. My eyes are constantly fixed on the past. I arise when you no longer believe in yourself and think your future will be identical to what you've already experienced. I deny the existence of possibilities and am a source of deep nostalgia and a certain pessimistic attitude. And because of me, you can't contemplate change or renewal. You can only imagine it. And your projections are very often negative. I am with you when your resources are exhausted and you feel that it is useless to hope. And so that's from the Cries of the Soul's Oracle. And it indicates a fixation on the past as a comforting place where we never have to change ourselves. So it's realistic, but it's not realistic. Let's update what this shadow work means by drawing a card from the Erethereal Shadow Work Tarot. In the first session, we draw a number of cards from this deck, but in this and the following weeks, we'll just draw one to use as a sense of how are we dealing with this? How are we learning to integrate this or to recognize it so that we can better challenge it within ourselves and find ways to cope with it and make changes? A lot of times, this is going to limit the scope of what we can do, but also what we imagine we can do. So it's very important that we continue this work for this month. It's the Two of Swords. This tells me that we're in a mode of really thinking about this. We really are. But we're not ready to really take that action that we will need to do here. It could be that we feel we need to explore more of the concept itself or see exactly what it means very specifically to us. And so this is saying that as an update goes, there's progress, but it's more progress in the mental reflections on it and in that attempt to unify it from that point of view, rather than any other potentially constructive work that's dealing with, therapy or rehab or going to support groups, things that are more hands-on with externals being involved in that way. So at any rate, it's still a pretty good idea that, there's progress being made. There's not directly acting on what we're learning, but it's still pretty hopeful. All right. So now what we want to do is we want to look at a couple other factors. These may relate directly to the prophetic past, but they could also just be other ideas too that are going on. What we are looking at is what I call the dark detour. And the dark detour is how do we find ways to distract ourselves by basically saying, we need to do this instead. We need to find a different path or distraction and say, well, I'm doing that. I can't do this because I'm doing that. It's kind of hokey, but sometimes that's what it amounts to with people who are in denial. So the deck I use is called the Midnight Boulevard. It came from the same company that gives me this beautiful cloth I'm working on. And the Midnight Boulevard is definitely a darker take on the tarot. So the basic question is, will it show us what are those kind of avenues that we choose instead of the way to confront the issues and work on them? It's the Five of Cups. I'm going to move Our Lady up there. Well, it is a dark detour in a way. We may be saying there are other things that we have lost or are dealing with that cause pain or emotional discontent, and we want to focus on them. So we're sort of saying, look, the children, it's about the children. We're sort of saying those other things that are lost, and maybe they've been lost for longer, but they're the thing we need to focus on rather than ourselves or this issue of that shadow that prevents us from finding hope in the future. We think we'll find it somewhere else, and maybe in a way we know we won't. All right, so now I'm going to look at the dark twist. And the dark twist is that right? Is it the dark twist? Hold on a minute. Yes, it is the dark twist. Sorry about that. So the dark twists are other things that maybe are not specific to finding an excuse, but maybe things that we can find to capitalize on for why we're not able to address our healing here. To some degree, they express the idea of an unknown or unaccounted for actor or factor in our lives or the situation. And so to that degree, they can express an external that interfered, but it's your or our wanting to use that also as an excuse that makes it important here. What is the dark twist? What are the external factors that we may try to use as an excuse to avoid dealing with our shadows? It's the Page of Pentacles, and it's upright. The Page of Pentacles is here to say that the new element that enters the picture is beginning something that maybe is that twist or distraction, an opportunity to engage in something. It is most likely of a knowledgeable or education kind of position. So it could be somebody saying, I want you to join my coven, and you'll have to take these courses or read these books. And then you say, well, that means I won't be able to work on this other stuff. But it could be other things too. The idea of being involved with a group that has differing sensibilities and may be able to impart a stricture on you for this, and you kind of glom onto that. So although you may gain things from that, learning new things, new philosophies, new education, it's creating a situation where you're not going to deal on the prophetic past. So think about that when this comes to you, because I think it may be, you know, spring is coming in many parts of the world, and a willingness to want to get out, experience the world, experience new things, go back to school. I realize that the current climate of the world may not exactly jive or align with that, but you'd be surprised how many people are just moving along with their lives right now and not thinking about that other stuff. And right now, I don't exactly see how any of this fits in with that. This is one sense of Goth Tarot. Last week, I think, when we explored Prophetic Past initially, I thought there were more things that kind of related to the real world. This one is a little different, and it could be that these shadow issues here are not exactly connected to the prophetic past. They could just be dealing with codependencies that we have in various ways. All right, so let's conclude then with the dark spiral. The dark spiral is the things that will suck us down. They're not necessarily about saying it's going to take us away from our work. That's a given. They are just saying this is another layer of shadow that you may have to deal with, an issue that you let drain you or you let control you. It shouldn't necessarily be connected to the prophetic past, but if it is, I'll know. And for that, I am using the Deviant Moon Tarot. It's a lovely deck, given to me by the Banshee. She just couldn't quite relate to it. And I have used it a few times in some of the different ways I've done Goth Tarot. So it is now back for this current mode that we've been doing for a while, which I kind of like. And as always, you know, I don't mind hearing your feedback on whether or not, you know, this is working for you or not. But anyways, the dark spiral. The dark spiral is what is draining you, what is actually suppressing your initiative and ability to move forward. And I think it could tie into the prophetic past, but I think it is very likely also its own entity. What is it? It's the Hierophant reversed. That's kind of a bam. The Hierophant reversed says, well, it could be two ways of looking at this. There could be the way of looking at it that's saying what is draining you is not having structure, not having rules and foundations and procedures that kind of inform and are a fallback for you. And in that sense, I think it could tie in more to the prophetic fast, that the idea that you're still too involved deep inside with wanting to do the right things because some mommy or daddy type in your life may have said that, or that's the baggage you've taken in. You may not recognize it that way, but essentially it could be that. So I could sort of see how that could be tied to the prophetic past. But another way of looking at this card is saying what is draining you is not having that control, being very much unconventional, untraditional, and willing to resist and revolt. Now, I don't think that's as likely, especially given if we are aligning it or seeing the potential for it to align with the collective world right now, because, you know, that presents a whole other way of looking at things too. is it just possible that we can't align because we really are too anarchist in a certain way, that we're not willing to let anybody be in charge of us? And this is a way of setting up more barriers around us. But the process of doing that is draining us of energy, because it's keeping us from finding relief, from finding that hope. So in a way, both of these could be part of the prophetic past. And I think that's something you may really want to think about with all of that. Take as much time as you need. But now, I think it's time to close then. And we're going to close with an oracle and affirmation from the Dart-like Oracle, which I too have used many times here. So relax if you wish. Take a deep breath. And remember, in the original opening oracle, it was preparing us for this work again. It was telling us that there were sides that needed to kind of come together and work together in a way. Let's see what we get going out. Heartbreak Palace. Arrows in the Heart. Number 18. I'm going to move you around. Maybe you can benefit from a little more light here. Arrows in the Heart. The statue behind me is wounded by piercing arrows and bleeds endlessly. His love is gone. His hope has died, and he feels that any kind of joy has deserted him. So here I come to remind him that red is also the color of his future love, and his penance will end. Are you in pain too? Why? What have you lost? What is breaking your heart? Do not let yourself become a suffering soul. Remember that joy and love are nearer than you think. Remember that skies will be blue after they've been gray. Follow through with your pain, but then take this arrow out of your heart and return healed to the world. Affirmation. I accept feeling this suffering to the deepest. But having done so, I stop long, self-imposed penance, and I come back to life and joy. And you know, that too ties in with the prophetic past, that we let things hold us back, and we want to just sort of silently suffer perhaps and let no one else notice it. And it keeps us from the sense of maybe failing with everything. It will be time to act soon. The Two of Swords says, we're digging this, we're getting it, we're going to figure it out. Our other cards say these diversions can be temporary too. You don't have to fully involve yourself with whoever that Page of Pentacles is, bringing you some chance at learning something new. You have enough to learn on your own, okay? So, dig it, everyone. That was my Goth Tarot for the week, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to watch our live stream tomorrow night from 7 to 9 p.m. There will be no happy hour this week. Mr. O and his missus have other things that they will have to do, just appointments, and I have to work also that day. So we'll see you a week from Saturday. I'm not sure when that will be, but drop in on a Sunday for the Material Matters, Banshees Material Matters. We're live in the chat room. That's a reading for the signs of the zodiac, giving you the tarot keys to business success, finance, and education. And then finally, we're live again on Sunday afternoon from 2 to 4 p.m. It's our busy one, so if you want a reading, get in early. And we're kind of going to start drawing the line with people who show up and disappear without leaving us a question. We don't mind doing a question for you if you're not going to be there for it. You can always, find where it is in the stream. But we don't like wasting time, hoping you're still there and you're just typing out your questions. So we're going to kind of draw the line there. If you come to the chat room and say, I want to be on the list, then you should give us a question. All right, everybody. We will see you soon. Take care.